Warning, the following show will spoil the hell out of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire books and the TV show A Game of Thrones. Also, you're probably going to find a fuck ton of bad language. The explicit tag is there for a reason.
Death and boobies, 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 death and boobies.
Hello and welcome back to the Ironwood Network Book Club. I'm your host, Septa Ironwood, and with me, as always, is Maester Ironwood. How are you this morning?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Yep, doing good. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
All right.
It's morning, so, you know.
Whoa, it's morning.
I don't like mornings.
Oh, and Jamie's in morning.
Not really, though.
No, not really.
No, he has no emotion over it.
Yeah, he's more just feeling sorry for himself.
Yes.
That's pretty much it.
He brought this on him.
You know, he's starting to realize he's not that good of a person.
Yes. It's true.
Maybe he needs to change his... So, all right. Before we get on to a quick... Oh, so we're in Jamie.
Yes.
Jamie 2?
Yes.
We're in Jamie 2. So everybody out there knows.
Yeah.
It'd be a good idea to fill people in on that.
Yes.
We're in Jamie 2, Feast for Crows. Before I give us a synopsis, I have a haiku.
Okay.
Now I stand my watch, wondering what might have...
Yeah.
Kind of covers the main themes of the chapter, I think.
It does, yeah.
Kettle Blacks and Lancel and Moon Boy for all he knows.
Poor Moon Boy. Moon Boy can't consent.
It's going to be a real shame when Jaime kills him for fucking Cersei. Gold Hand the Just.
Yeah, okay.
I think that Jaime will understand the Gold Hand of Justice.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
He's on a redemption arc. Though, like I said, I don't think he needs one, but he's on a redemption arc.
Right.
All right, so the synopsis. Really not a whole heck of a lot happens in this chapter, except for Jaime remembering things.
Yes.
So basically, it's Jaime stands vigil by his father's body inside the sept. He's standing vigil for 7 days.
Yes.
1 day for each of the gods, because that's how you do it.
Yeah.
So he's standing vigil. I'm assuming no food and water for those 7 days, like a complete fast.
Yeah.
And then no moving.
Yep.
So he's like a Buckingham Palace guard.
No sleep.
No sleeping.
Yep.
Just standing vigil. So he's in the middle of doing that. Eventually, the royal family comes through to pay their respects again.
Yep, day 2, I think.
Yep, in front of the small folk.
Yep.
And so the king comes. It's basically the trip that we got in Cersei's chapter.
No, I think this is a different one, because Tommen...
Sure?
Yes, because Tommen stayed during the one in Cersei's chapter. In this one, he
runs
takes
away.
off
That's right.
running.
That's right, he runs away. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is at least 1 day later, or maybe even later that night. Who knows?
Right.
Because the small folk were going to get there on the first night as well.
Right.
But either way, it's later, and while they are there, Tommen gets freaked out, starts throwing up and crying and screaming.
Because of the smell.
Because of the
like
smell.
he's liquefying on the table.
Yeah. Well,
so.
yeah, because it's it's a hot room.
Yeah.
A dead body. They don't know about like all the good embalming chemicals that we have today.
I don't know if you call them good, but yeah.
They do a much better job than this.
Yeah.
So, so he runs out. Cersei follows. Cersei drags him out, basically. Tommen
takes off running. Jaime goes after him.
That's right.
Jaime tries to have a conversation with Tommen, and Cersei interrupts.
I got bored in this chapter, I'm not going to lie. Because it was boring.
And then Jaime gives Cersei an idea to put forth so that she can, do her thing.
Yeah. All the while, Jaime's wondering who Cersei's fucking, whether it was his fault or not that Tyrion killed their father.
Oh, he's pretty sure it is his fault.
Mm-hmm. Wondering if Varys knew what was going to happen.
No, I don't think.
I doubt it. Really doubt it.
Yeah.
And getting pissed at the Kettle Blacks and getting pissed at them because of what Tyrion told.
Yep.
And that's really all that happens.
But there's still a lot to discuss.
There's a lot to discuss, yes. But I don't know. I found it really...
I actually found it kind of interesting.
Okay. Well, then I shall let you take the lead in this one, because you liked this one a lot more than me. I was not a huge fan.
Well, in that case, let me break out the book so I may cover this.
Okay. Because I was not a huge... Jaime's chapters aren't always all that exciting. They get better when
Which is weird, because you really like Jaime.
I do like Jaime once he hits the road.
As long as it's not like chapters.
I like Jaime's arc.
Yeah. But you don't like his chapters.
Well, because nothing happens in this. It's all stuff we already know, just being retold.
Right, but you also get a sense of how Jaime's realizing, like, who he was and who he is and trying to figure out.
We already had that in the chapter where he looked at the white book and told himself at the very end that the whole rest of the page was his to write for the future going forward.
Right, but this adds to that.
Well, I know, but we already know that. Like, what I'm saying is, this is all just a rehash of things that we know.
I don't think it's a rehash, though.
What's new?
We'll have to go.
I mean, I'm failing to find out what's new. We already know Kevin doesn't want to be the Hand.
Yes, I will admit there's stuff in here that we do know.
We already know that Jaime wants to change who he is because he thinks he can be a better person, because he thinks that he's made mistakes in his life. We already know that from the chapter with the white book. That's literally what happens in this chapter. We already know that Tommen doesn't like, because Tommen freaked out about the body in Cersei's chapter, the last chapter.
Yes. Okay.
We already know that Jaime doesn't consider Tommen and Joffrey and Myrcella his children because Cersei told him not to, so he finds it hard to feel for them and feel emotions for them. But then once in a while those emotions come through, because we've already seen that with Joffrey's death. Literally nothing new happens in this chapter. It's just kind of there.
Okay, but I still like the chapter.
That's fine. You can like it. I'm just saying the reason I found it boring is because it's literally just rehashes all things that we've already covered in multiple other chapters.
Okay.
So, that's all.
Okay.
I mean, the most interesting thing might be the one piece of information that we get that we don't get in any other chapter, which is the little bit of information we get about Rhaegar.
Right.
And what Rhaegar was planning.
Right.
We'll
cover that.
After he put down Robert's Rebellion. That's literally the only thing that we get.
Right.
And here that's new.
Right.
Which is a fascinating piece of information, but I don't think it makes up for like a 30-page chapter.
It was a 30-page chapter.
Right. That covered nothing new. 30-page chapter.
It was actually 20 pages.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, in your copy.
In my copy, it was 20 pages.
I read it on the Kindle, so it was closer to 30 screens.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that one little piece of information makes up for 30 screens of stuff I've already read in previous chapters.
Well, you've also read them a lot more than I have, so
That's true.
You know all the information.
That's true.
So you can't say, oh, we already know all this when you've read them multiple times, and this is only my second time in the chapter. Because I've said multiple times that the more I read it, like in the second time or the third time I read a chapter, I'm finding more information than I missed the first time. Mm-hmm. So you can't be like, oh, we already know all this, when, sure, you know it, but it's not always something that I've caught on to.
Did you learn anything new about Jaime? I'm asking you a serious question. Did you learn anything new about Jaime or another character not named Rhaegar in this chapter that you didn't already know this time through?
Not really. But that doesn't mean it's not a decent chapter.
The defense rests, Your Honor. I didn't say it wasn't a decent chapter. I just said, for me, it's a waste of a chapter.
It's a filler chapter.
I think so.
Okay.
Would you disagree with that? Because, like I said, it's all everything that we cover in it, except for that little bit about Rhaegar, is stuff we already know.
Well, no, it's not, because
like what?
When Jaime is trying to find out more information about, Jaime already knows how the night went. Mm-hmm. Jaime knows that he forced Varys to help Tyrion escape. And in the beginning of the chapter, we talk about how Jaime was waiting for Varys. Mm-hmm. So we didn't know that, how he convinced Varys to help him get Tyrion out.
Okay.
So we didn't know that. That's new. And then there's where Jaime's thinking about all the stuff he's doing to, quote-unquote, look for Tyrion, because he's only half-heartedly looking for Tyrion, where he sends, like, a bunch of the, where he sends a bunch of guards to, the Street of Silks or whatever, where all the whorehouses are, to, quote-unquote, look for Tyrion, because he knows he's not there.
Right.
And he sends a bunch of guards down, and they're searching the belly of the castle, and they're finding all these new rooms that no one hasn't seen in years.
Well, except for Arya.
Except for Arya and Lord Varys. And that was not nice, Monster. That was not nice. And what was the other thing? Oh, he goes down to speak to the Gaolers, and he that's when he's realizing that the Gaylors are getting X amount of money for Y amount of employees when they only have S amount of employees. So where's that money really going? So there's money being...
Going into Littlefinger's pocket.
But, like I'm saying, there's stuff here that is talked about that's not obviously in the other chapters.
Okay.
Because on top of that, the Gaylors that he went to speak to, they're dead now.
Oh, we knew that.
Because Cersei had them killed.
Right, we knew that because Cersei told the Kettleblacks to kill him.
Right, but Jaime knew they weren't a threat because they had been given... Yeah, they'd been drugged. And Jaime...
And Jaime should have known. I'm sorry.
No, I absolutely...
Should have known that Cersei
I
was gonna have
absolutely
them
agree. But Cersei had Jaime's own men do it, which made it look like Cersei and Jaime's men had something to do with it, so they were covering their own kind of tracks. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So there is information in this chapter that isn't new information. It may be smaller information, but it's still new information.
Okay. Point taken. I guess I just take it as like a matter of faith that of course there's money going to places that's being allocated for things.
Right,
because
but
Littlefinger's been lining his pocket with the money of King's Landing.
yes, and
for
we know
years
that.
and years and years.
But now we're seeing stuff about where some of that is coming from.
Okay.
And we're seeing some of the lies and the fluffing of pockets or whatever the word is.
Lining up pockets?
Yes. And we're seeing some of that.
Out in the open.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like I said, that's why you're going to take the lead in this one, because you like this chapter. I didn't get much from it. Like I said, the only thing I get from this chapter is the bit about Rhaegar, because I think that's the only thing that really plays
and that is a very important...
plays an important part in the story.
That is a very important part. Yes, I agree with that.
That's like the only thing I think that is actually important in this chapter.
Yeah.
It's like a whole chapter built just so we can get that story from Rhaegar.
I mean, quite possibly, but I still think that the parts where, like, we're seeing where the money's really, quote-unquote, really going and other stuff is just little tidbits that George throws in and says, oh, it may not be important, but it's still important for this little piece that we told you about a while ago.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Littlefinger's crooked.
Yeah.
In case you need more evidence, here's more evidence.
Right. Kind of thing.
All right. That's fine.
All right. Can we take a break before
Already?
before we start?
Already? All right.
Yes. That was very heated on my part, and now I need to go cool down. Okay, I'm better now.
All right. Septa is cooled down and ready to lead us through her favorite chapter of the book so far.
Yeah, now the furnace is turning on.
This next break is brought to you by my oil bill. Okay, now Septa's ready to lead us through this chapter.
All right. So, Jaime is standing vigil over his father's corpse.
Yep.
And he's kind of mad that he has to because it's his fault.
Yep.
He may have not have shot his father himself, but he released his brother who didn't. Mm-hmm. So he's taking the blame, even if he's not taking it outwardly.
Right.
So
he does have two of his brothers there with him.
Yes. Loras and one of the...
Balon Swan.
Yes. They offered to take vigil for him because he hasn't slept since his father died.
Yep.
And he refuses, so they leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this seems more of Jaime doing a penance.
Yes.
Than a vigil.
Yes.
In reality.
And he does compare it to when he did it again. Well, again, he did it the first time when he was 15. Mm-hmm. Only he wasn't wearing armor, and he was wearing just a white...
cloak.
I guess it was a cloak for a better term, tunic kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he knelt in front of the warrior and prayed all night. Mm-hmm. And that was right after he had killed the king.
Yes.
So I guess it would be like a penance thing. Mm-hmm. So he's this whole thing takes place in like less than a day. Yeah. It's a lot of thinking he does overnight. Mm-hmm. So he thinks back to the night his father died, and he had decided that whether his brother was guilty or not, he wasn't going to let him die. Yep. So he went to Varys's chambers and waited for him, and basically threatened Varys with his life, and told Varys that regardless, you're going to help me free my brother, because I know you know how. So he gets Varys to help him free his brother, and he kind of regrets it, kind of doesn't, because now his brother's free, but now his dad is dead.
Right.
Because he didn't think Tyrion would do that before he left.
Right.
He's pretty sure Varys has run away with Tyrion at this point, because Varys did say that if Tyrion was let go, then he would lose his head one way or the other.
Questions would be asked.
Yes. And since he's the Master of Whispers, he would know. Except for the fact, well, he's a Master of Whispers, but he doesn't know where Sansa is.
Right.
Supposedly.
No, okay, so there's an interesting question. Do you think he does or doesn't?
I don't think he does.
Okay.
I think Littlefinger was working around Varys because he knows how to do that.
Okay. Do you think Varys knows how Joffrey died?
Yes.
And who did it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Varys has stated that he does what's best for the realm, and Joffrey is not best for the realm.
Do you think he was involved?
No, but
Okay.
I think he knew about it,
Okay.
and he wasn't going to stop it.
Gotcha.
So
So you put Varys on the level that I put Tywin at in that plot?
yes.
Okay.
They probably were on the same level and didn't know it.
Okay. Or maybe did know it.
Or maybe did and didn't say anything.
Right.
So he was thinking about that, and then his mind's kind of like all over the place here because...
Yeah, he's jumping back
Yeah.
and forth and this and that, and he's going back to Aerys and discussions he had with Rhaegar and thinking about the jailers and
Yeah.
everything.
What do they call them? The
The
Gaelers.
gaolers, the undergaolers, and then the turnkeys. So the two were turnkeys. So there's supposed to be six. There's supposed to be a head gaoler,
Yep.
and then 6 undergaolers, 2 for each level of the
Yep.
cells. And then on each level of the cells, there's supposed to be 6 turnkeys that
Yes.
take shifts.
Yep.
Those
So
people who have
they're...
the keys to open the doors.
Yes. So they're supposed to be...
A lot of people.
Yes. But per the paperwork, it's kind of like an understaffed nursing home.
Right.
They have the budget for...
30
And they're
or
charging for 20 employees, but they only have 12.
Right.
And then on top of that, they only have 6, what are the words? 6 people in the cells.
6 turnkeys.
Yeah, no, 6 people that have been arrested or
prisoners,
prisoners. Yes. So they have all these people on paper that are supposed to be guarding these, well, now 5 prisoners. And where's the rest of the money going? So that's where Littlefinger's
Minutia and plotting and...
has gone through the black cells.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 levels to the black cells, and each one is short-staffed.
Yeah, which we did talk about when Tyrion was trying to track down the budget.
Yes.
When he first became the Master of Coin.
Yes.
Trying to figure out what Littlefinger had done.
Yes. It's done. It's okay.
Okay.
It was ringing.
But yeah, so, I mean, he already knew that money was going into the jail that wasn't being used for jail purposes.
Yep, and this is where
Right.
and so where's the extra money going? Lining Littlefinger's
It's
pockets.
going to Littlefinger, exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Tyrion figured all that out.
Yeah, but he
books
just
ago.
didn't know. He did know all the details.
Right. He didn't. We didn't get it when Tyrion figured that out. He didn't get into how many jailers we actually had and how many turnkeys we actually had. He just knew that basically everything that Littlefinger was involved in the budgeting and paying of was basically overbilling the crown.
Yes.
And taking the extra money.
Yes, and then they wonder why the crown's in debt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and between all of this, all the things he's thinking throughout the night, he keeps going back to Cersei and how Tyrion said Cersei is sleeping with Lancel and sleeping with one of the Kettleblacks, and Moonboy for all he knows.
Yep.
And he just keeps going back to that.
Yep. He's playing in his mind.
Yeah.
Just like it was that night.
Yeah.
Just keeps
And
playing
he
in
does
his mind.
keep saying if he had known that Tyrion was going to kill his father, he wouldn't have let him loose.
Right.
Which...
Or maybe would have escorted him to the fucking boat, made sure he just went.
Well, because if he had known Tyrion was going to kill him, then he would have killed Tyrion, and he'd have been a kinslayer and not Tyrion.
Right. So then Jaime would have been the cursed one.
Yes. But Jaime's already the cursed one because he's the kingslayer.
Right.
So, and now doesn't have a hand.
Right.
So, and then he gets into thinking about Rhaegar.
Yeah, so I think this is really the only important part of the chapter.
Yeah.
So he remembers Rhaegar leaving to go fight the Battle of the Trident.
The day he died, yeah.
Yeah. And Well, the last day Jaime saw him.
Yes.
Because it would have taken more than a day to get to the
Yep.
Trident. But the last day that Jaime saw him, where Rhaegar was leading his army away, he was taking several of the White Cloaks with him.
Yes.
Including Barristan Selmy.
And Jaime was begging to go.
Yep, Jaime wanted to go and fight, but Rhaegar told Jaime that my father wants you here because he fears your father more than he fears Robert.
Yes.
So you're his hostage, and I won't rob him of that.
Right.
But
Which
then
he really can't do anything about.
Right. Well, I mean, he could have. He could have taken Jaime.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what's his father going to do in reality? You know what I mean?
Have a fit. Kill
Right.
somebody.
Have a fit and burn somebody alive. Well, he hasn't done that before.
Yeah.
Not going to burn Rhaegar alive.
No.
Not going to burn Jaime alive.
No.
So, I mean, in reality, he could have taken Jaime, but he decided not to.
Right.
And I think that's because I don't think he even thought that he could lose.
Right. Absolutely.
Like, he was 100% convinced he would win and be back.
Yeah.
Put an end to the rebellion.
Yes, he was, because he told Jaime, I'm going to have a meeting when I get back. This should have happened a long time ago. Things are going to change.
Yeah. He told him, I'm going to call a council, which you only call a council when you're discussing whether or not to basically bloodlessly overthrow the king.
Yes.
So he's going to call a council, which is basically you get the houses, like the heads of the major houses together, and you hire a new pope, essentially.
Yeah.
A new king.
This is kind of like what they did in Dune, right? All the houses got together to kill Atreides, even though he wasn't a threat.
Correct. Yep, same idea, except in this case,
He was
Aerys
a threat.
was a threat.
Yes.
So, yeah, so he tells Jaime specifically that it should have been done a long time ago, which I think most people think is right, and that he's been plotting to oust his father for some time.
Yep, because his father's getting crazier and crazier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people think that the tourney at Harrenhal is actually part of that.
When Jaime was knighted
Mm-hmm.
as a Kingsguard?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. With Rhaegar there, and Rhaegar giving his rose to Lyanna instead of to his wife, and there was certain people there that were likely involved with Rhaegar in this calling of the Great Council to get rid of Aerys.
And
But Aerys threw a kink in it by showing up.
Yes.
Because I think he also knew.
That's why he showed up, to prevent the meeting from happening. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's like the big thing that we get is that even Rhaegar knew, right? Because this is post him burning the Starks alive.
Yeah.
So even Rhaegar knew that, he's gone too far and we need to do something. Rebellion is not the right way.
No, because we're already dealing with a rebellion.
Well, that's what he's saying is, right?
Yeah.
Robert's rebellion is not the way. We need to keep the Targaryens in power, but yes, my father needs to go.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's where Rhaegar
there was plans made to get the Mad King off the throne.
Yes.
But because Rhaegar died on the Trident, they couldn't put those plans into effect anymore.
Correct. Yes.
So, and then they lost the rebellion to boot.
Yep. And I think that might even have played, right? So what Rhaegar said to Jaime, I think might have played into Jaime's willingness to kill the king. He never says it.
Right.
But I think that it made him more open to understanding that the things that Aerys was doing were really wrong and needed to be stopped. If his own son had told Jaime that we're going to change things when I get back,
Yeah.
and then never came back, I think that kind of opened Jaime's mind to the possibility that, Aerys does need to be stopped.
Right. Aside from all the other stuff that Jaime had watched happen, like the Starks being burned alive and choked to
again,
death
he watched all that happen and did nothing.
Right. But it was when the king was going to blow up the entire city, it was when he decided to actually do something about it. But that's the thing, because no one knew about his plan to blow up the city.
Except Rhaegar maybe did.
Right. But Rhaegar is dead.
Right.
So.
At that point, Rhaegar's dead. Exactly. It'd be kind of hard to keep that from your crown prince.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the important bit that we get is this little piece of Rhaegar and the fact that he was probably going to mutiny against his father.
Yeah. Absolutely.
After Robert's rebellion was done.
Yeah.
After Robert and Ned had been defeated.
Mm-hmm. So Jaime also does a lot of talking to the corpse here.
Yes.
He laments that he has no grief for his father's passing. And all kind of finds it amusing, but I'm wondering if that's lack of sleep on his part, combined with all the stress he's under.
I don't see. I think that it's almost in a way, right? Tywin was not a man to show affection,
Right.
especially to Jaime.
Yes.
He was very stern with him.
Yeah, he's the kind of man that the world's not going to be easy on you, so why should I?
Right, exactly. And so the same way that Jaime had convinced himself internally not to show any compassion for his children,
Right.
I think that he also, over the years, convinced himself of the same thing about his father.
Yes, absolutely.
And in reality, the only people that he has any compassion for
It's Cersei.
and Tyrion.
And Brienne.
And Brienne. I don't even
Yes.
know if it's compassion for Brienne.
It's something, though, because he does think about her
Yes.
at some point, too.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's compassion or if it's more like, how would you put it? More like respect among equals type of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I think he has compassion for Cersei because she has to marry whoever she's told.
Well, he's
And
always
be
had
a
a
broodmare.
soft spot for Cersei.
Be a broodmare. And for Tyrion, you know, he's a Lannister, and yet he's continuously treated as though he's not.
Right.
And so I think that that's where Jaime's compassion for those two comes from. And he doesn't really have that with Brienne, right? I mean,
She's just a stupid wench.
nothing to really feel compassionate about. It's
Right.
more that he just respects her.
Right.
Like, I think he respects her more than he respects anybody.
Oh, I completely agree on that statement. So this conversation may not have meant anything to you, but he thinks back on the conversation he had with Pycelle the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I was wondering if it had any kind of relevance to like the storyline and stuff like that is because Pycelle talks about when he was young and he survived the Grey Plague that took over Old Town. Now he says that when he survived the Grey Plague, but it killed 3/4 of the Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is a Grey Plague like that? Is that just a normal plague, or was that the one where they all had like dragon scale?
I think it's dragon scale.
You think it's dragon scale?
I think it's dragon scale.
Because he said that they died from the Great Plague.
Well, yeah.
Well, not really. He says the Great Plague took half the city and 3/4 of the Citadel. Doesn't say they died.
Right.
But Pycelle said that Lord Hightower burned every ship in port, closed the gates, and commanded the guards to slay anyone who tried to escape because they didn't want to pass it on to the rest of Westeros.
Yep. Men,
Which
women,
it
children,
makes absolute sense.
Yes.
And I get it. And it sucks. It really does. So this thing, and so I get what he was saying by keep everyone in, and if they try and get out, shoot them. I mean, we see it all the time in like zombie movies and stuff like that, trying to contain the outbreak.
Wuhan currently.
Yeah. They're not killing people trying to leave, though. They're actually
depends
trying
on who. It depends on. I mean, if you watch Alex Jones, they are.
They're trying to get people out, so they're not killing anyone trying to leave. So I get what he did and why he did it. Mm-hmm. And then when the plague had run its course and everyone had either survived or
Not.
been contained, they killed him.
Yep. And his son.
And his sons.
I think it was just his eldest son.
It says young sons as well.
Oh, okay.
But it's SON''S.
Killed his young sons? What's the exact sentence?
The son, on the very day he reopened the port, they dragged him from his horse and slit his throat, and his young sons as well.
That's
his young
one.
son's throat. Okay.
Yeah. It'd be, if it were S'', then it would be multiple.
Yeah. So they killed Lord Hightower and his son
Yep.
for doing that. So who runs?
The next Hightower.
Okay. So.
Kind of like how currently right now, Kevin is kind of in charge of Casterly Rock.
Yeah. So Pycelle does say, to this day, the ignorant spit at his name, but Quentin Hightower did what was needed.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if... I know Pycelle says your father was that sort of man as well who did what was needed, but I'm wondering if Tyrion kind of did what was needed. Because, in my opinion, Tywin wasn't going to successfully get them out of this war that is happening. So, I'm sorry. Alright, I am sorry. Alright, so where was I? We were talking about the Citadel.
Yeah. And how you understood, you understood, why Hightower did what he did, and then also why the people would kill him afterward.
Yes, I understand both.
Yes.
So, excuse me, I got the hiccups. It sucks, but I understand it. But then again, I've watched a lot of, like, zombie-ish stuff to see why you should do what he did, and why the people reacted the way they did.
Just look at the flowers.
Yeah, look at the flowers, Lizzie.
The flowers.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, I get it. And besides, the people, the people who were in charge of places,
they have to make some really hard choices sometimes.
But, like, the people below them were no better than dirt anyway.
Right.
So what the fuck did they care?
Right, but even if they did care, it's still a hard choice. Save thousands or save millions.
Right.
So.
Or kill thousands to save millions.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is probably... Yeah. Yep.
And then we get to how he was looking for the people that work in the dungeons.
Yep.
And how he had spoken to, what's his name, Renifer Longwaters, and who he was some ancient man who was descended from some princess or whatever bullshit like that.
Right, even though he's a bastard.
Yeah. Well, he's not a bastard, but
his
like
family
one, yeah,
was.
yeah, his family was. So
Hence Waters, yeah.
Yeah, Longwaters. So that's where Jaime gets the information that they're being paid for 20 people, but only 12 people are on the books.
Right.
So those 8 people's salaries are going to Littlefinger
and or
Varys, because Varys, I'm pretty sure, was the Gaoler that he mentions where he's here when he's needed, but he doesn't really hang out here.
Yeah, the over-Gaoler.
Yeah. What did they say his name was? His what? Rugen.
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty sure Rugen is Varys. So.
Probably.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
He was there, quote unquote, as needed, which means he was there when he had work to do with the people that were in the cells.
Right.
So.
Or when he needed a disguise to walk around with Illyrio or whatever.
Yeah, he was in charge of the 3rd level, the black cells, so he could go anywhere he wanted. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Under Gaoler.
Yeah, and he's been there for a long time. He's been there at least 12 years.
Yeah.
And Littlefinger's been there for a long time as well. So, I'm pretty sure it's just... So, when Jaime goes to find the key holders, or whatever they were called, turnkeys. Yeah, the 2 that were in charge of Tyrion's are dead.
Yep.
At the table. Which pisses Jaime off to no end, because they had been drugged so they'd sleep, and Cersei, in her fury after finding her dad died, instructed the Kettleblacks to go and make sure they sleep forever. And Jaime, in his fury over Cersei overstepping him, tells the Kettleblacks that now it looks like they were trying to silence them, so that maybe now it looks like they had a part in Tyrion's escape. Now, was Jaime furious because they had killed quote-unquote innocent men, or because Cersei had overstepped?
Yes.
Both? Okay.
I would say so.
Okay.
Because we know that Jaime doesn't like to kill Set.
Yes.
It's the whole reason he killed Aerys.
Yes.
So.
Yep. And Cersei's, like, getting in the way of him, like, covering this up. But at the same time, trying to find other information. So, after all of Jaime's thinking, because, this goes throughout the night, at midnight, the people that live in the sept, the devout, they're called, come and do their prayers and come through. And before he knows it, it's morning. He doesn't know if he slept standing or if he just was thinking all night. But that's what happens when you're that tired. So the next morning comes, and it's the next day in prayer. Don't know what day out of the 7 it is. But Cersei, Tywin at this point is, like, leaking through his armor.
Yeah.
So he's been here a few days at least. Yeah. His cheeks are cracking open. He's now got this grotesque smile on his face.
Yeah, he looks like the Joker.
Yeah. And he's got white liquid coming out of his armor. So his body is degrading at this point. And so they light even more incense to keep it from smelling, but it doesn't help.
Right.
And Marjorie comes in with a big bouquet of roses, and she's smart. She keeps one under her nose at all times from the smell.
Yep, just like President Snow.
Yeah, how appropriate. So, Cersei and Tommen come in. They go and kneel up by the corpse, and Tommen, 8-year-old kid, he freaks out over the sight, freaks out over the smell. His crown goes flying off his head, and he takes off running because he was dry heaving, and Cersei tried not to freak out, but freaked out on Tommen. Yeah. So Tommen takes off running. So Jaime hands off his sword to one of the other brothers to stand vigil while he goes after Tommen. Yeah. And this is probably the most humane part of Jaime I've seen in a long time. Now, Jaime has always said that, they're not his children because Cersei had given his children to Robert, which I skipped over a scene, but we'll get to that. But in this conversation, it says Jaime talked to his son. Yes. And this is probably the most humane conversation we see Jaime have in a while. Because normally Jaime is sarcastic, and he's blunt, and he's brutal. And he sounds like a father talking to his son here.
Sounds genuine,
yeah. So Tommen's upset, saying, the smell got to him and he's sorry because he knows he's supposed to be a good boy and he's supposed to sit still and, everyone's supposed to copy what he does because he's the king. And he asks Uncle Jaime how he deals with something like this. And Jaime, quote unquote, to his son, because that's what it says in the book, says sometimes when you have to do something and it's something that's grotesque like this, and you will see worse things, try and go someplace else in your mind. Like, leave your body kind of thing.
Go to your happy place.
Yes. Because then Jaime's thinking about how he had to do it when he saw the Stark burn alive. And other stuff while he was Kingsguard for Aerys. Yep. And Tommen starts to tell him, I used to do that when Joffrey trails off. What did Joffrey do to this kid? And it stops there because Tommen says Joffrey because he can't pronounce his R's right. And here comes Cersei to not save the day, to be a total ass and ruin this really nice moment between father and son and just get all in about how Tommen embarrassed her. God forbid, woman, shut the fuck up. So Joffrey never would have done this, but he's not Joffrey.
Right. So what do you think Joffrey did?
I think Joffrey beat the shit out of him. I think Joffrey tormented him like he did everyone else.
Oh, no doubt.
So, and I don't think it was stuff like pinching him and hitting him when mommy and daddy weren't looking. I think he,
Pure Good Men Code Red style shit.
Yeah. I think it was really mean to the kid.
Yeah. I would agree.
But it also makes me wonder if he wasn't just abusing Tommen, if he was sexually abusing Tommen too.
That too. Yeah, because we know that Joffrey wasn't really interested in sex.
Especially with women.
Right. But maybe as a power thing.
Yes.
He would be. Because that's how Cersei, right? Cersei doesn't use sex as being interested in it, right?
Except for one person. But even then, that's a power thing.
Right, for her that's a power thing though.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it wouldn't surprise me if Joffrey were the same way.
Yes. Asserting his power over his siblings by doing the same thing his mother's doing to her brother.
Right.
Yeah. Keep the abuse going. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't think it was abuse between Cersei and Jaime, but I think that she used it as a way to keep him
his emotions
in check.
Yeah. She abused his emotions. Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah.
That's still abuse, whether Jaime accepts it as abuse or not.
Right.
It's still abuse.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
But yeah, Joffrey was definitely sick and twisted enough to, insert what the most horrible thing your mind could imagine here, and
that's what my brain did. I said, great, Joffrey raped Tommen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what could this little princeling, who's innocent as can be, as shy as can be, as mellow as can be, what has he gone through in his little life that he has to escape his own body?
Yeah. Yep.
So good. Maybe Joffrey is the reason Tommen is the way he is.
It's quite possible.
So.
Yeah, that's definitely quite possible. All right.
So
moving past that, Cersei shows up.
Yeah. Cersei shows up and is all mad at Tommen for embarrassing her in front of everyone. And he's like, I'm a kid. I'm sorry. The smell got me. And she's like, you think I don't have a nose? It smells putrid to me too, but I still have to do what I have to do. So she's saying the exact same thing Jaime did, but she's saying it in the wrong way.
Right. She's being a bitch about it.
Yes. So she sends Tommen away
Yep.
with one of the Kingsguard. And she starts yelling at Jaime. Now, before I talk about this discussion, I missed the discussion. Sometime in the night, Cersei came to see Jaime.
Yep.
It was raining out. Now, what is the wolf's hour? Is that the hour before dawn?
I think so.
The hour of the wolf, as she called it.
Yeah, I think.
Now, does that have any relevance as why it's called that? Okay. I was wondering if that had any, like, real relevance or if it was just, like, pre-dawn hour. But she had snuck away to see Jaime, and she said she used to do that when she was younger.
Yeah.
She used to dress up like a maid or a servant to go see Jaime. She, again, tries to convince Jaime that he needs to become the Hand because Uncle Kevin won't. He denied her, and he also said that he knew about them.
Yep.
And she does the power play. I want you by my side. I want you with me. I want you in me. Stuff to try and get him to...
Meanwhile, Jaime can only think Lancel,
Yeah.
Kettle Black,
Moon Boy. Yeah. In his head. So he's got, like, no interest right now.
Zero.
Yeah.
None. Absolutely none.
So he, again... The power play doesn't work, and she's pissed. So she gets mad at him and leaves.
Yep.
So back to this conversation after Tommen is left. Jaime says, well, here's an idea. You need Mace Tyrell,
Yep.
but you want him to enjoy what the opportunity he's been given. So have him storm Storm's End.
Yep.
Try and take it back for you. Because he sees himself as a great warrior, and whether he is or not, whether he succeeds or fails, he's still out of your way.
Yep.
He's not the Hand, because he wants to be the Hand.
Yep.
He's off doing what he likes doing, which is pretending to be this great warrior.
Right.
But he won't leave until Marjorie and Tommen are married.
Yep.
So Jaime says, give him the marriage. It'll be years before Tommen can consummate it.
And we can set it aside.
Yep. And we can always set it aside if we need to.
Yep.
So give him the marriage and send him on his way. And that's the end of the chapter.
Yep. Smart move on Jaime's part, I think.
Yeah. It's a very...
Good advice.
Yeah. Because whether Mace Tyrell succeeds or fails, it's still a win for Cersei.
Yep.
She'll either get Storm's End or Mace Tyrell dies.
Correct. Or is injured or something.
Or captured or something.
Makes a fool of himself.
Yes.
Something. Yep. Absolutely.
So.
All right. Got to give it a title.
I had one.
What's that?
Too much thinking.
Too much thinking. Okay.
What did you have?
Just standing here.
Just standing here.
Okay. Just standing here. Septa, what's our next chapter?
Brienne.
Brienne. Yes, indeed.
Yep.
So we'll be on Friday.
Yep.
Thank you, listeners.
Yes, thank you
patrons.
guys.
You guys all fucking kick ass. Let's see. If you'd like to support the show like our patrons, which we super appreciate,
Yes.
patreon.com/Ironwood.
Yep.
For everything else, back catalog of episodes, upcoming episodes, how to subscribe to the show, how to support the show, how to contact us, just head on over to our website, IceAndFirePod.com. And until we catch you guys again on Friday, goodbye.
Bye, guys.